welcome everybody. We're going to get started here in just a second, having everybody jump on, and we are going to get going here. All right. We're talking direct mail today. You probably got that message, and I'm happy to be talking about it because we've actually found some stuff that's working, and so we'll be sharing that. And I'll get started by talking a little bit about our our backstory on how we got to the point where we were really pushed into direct mail this year. Probably many of you know that Facebook changed their algorithm. They started doing what's called the special ad category. Anybody advertising any financial products and services of any kind basically got shoved into that special ad category, and basically then ended up not being able to target anybody worthwhile. And so that was a real kick in the head for us. I had all of our events really rocking and rolling, and then it just kind of fell apart because we had a bunch of terrible prospects in these events, and costs went up, quality went down, and it was just a mess. And so with that, we were just like, okay, in any business, you really have one constraint that is limiting your growth at any one time. And once you solve that one constraint, you should be able to grow to the next level until you run into another constraint. For your business, however you're looking at this, find that one constraint and say, okay, how do I just laser focus and basically drop an atomic bomb on this constraint to solve it so that then I can grow? And for us, that's what that was. It was, we have to solve this lead problem of getting quality people into these events, because previous to that, we were killing it, right, in 20 million a month and beyond. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, now all of our events suck because Facebook screwed us. So we dropped an atomic bomb on it, and that's the reason why we're here today, is because we've solved that problem, and we've solved it in a way that actually I think has turned out to be maybe even a little better than what we were doing before. And so I'm bringing on one of my direct mail masters here today to talk about what we've learned and what he's been able to help us do, and hopefully some of this can help you in your business. Feel free to chat into the chat box questions. I don't anticipate this going terribly long today. I just wanted to share this and give everybody some hope that if you have not had the results that you're looking for in 25, 26 can still be a really good year for you based on what we're seeing working right now. There's a lot of noise in the market, a lot of people promising leads and programs and systems and all this. And so today we'll try to just get down to the brass tacks and talk about numbers and show you what we're doing. And you can see if you feel like it'd be a good fit for you. So with that, I'm going to ask Donnie to unmute himself and make sure that we can hear him. And we'll just kind of jump right in. Donnie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How's it
Okay,
going?
good deal.
Good.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of format this as kind of a Q&A where we cover a little bit, and then I throw it over to you, Donnie, and you can share your experience and your expertise on this. With the background that we just covered, one of the solutions when we really tried to drop a bomb on this problem was finding Donnie, and he has been really instrumental in helping our advisors get really good results from what we've been doing for the last 6 months or so. And so the first place I want to start, Donnie, is addressing the elephant in the room, which is, I've tried this before. I've tried to use direct mail. I've tried to do events. I've tried to do dinner workshops, and none of that crap works. It's a bunch of plate lickers, and I am frustrated by my results. And I know you talk to a lot of advisors who tell you the same thing. So why don't we just hit that right out of the gate and say, okay, well, why is it that so many of the advisors who are doing direct mail are seeing poor results or inferior results compared to what maybe they used to or what they're expecting?
Yeah, so what it all comes down to at the end of the day is the list. And in this industry, the best kept secret that I'm going to share with everybody today is that it's for the last 30 years, I would say half the mail has been going to the wrong people, people that have no money. And just getting into the details of why that is if you've ever done direct mail before and you notice a lot of people coming in for the food, and that's where you get the plate lickers and the eaters and whatnot, it's not their fault. They got the invite. It's whoever sent it to them's fault. The reason that is because of an IPA filter. If you've ever done direct mail, you've used it. It stands for income producing assets. But what most places don't tell you about that filter is it's only 50% reliable. And unless you owned a mail house or you saw the disclosure from the company that provides it, it says it right there. This is inferred data, 50% reliable. Pretty pretty much. So, what we had to do, and after we learned that when we started this company, 10 years ago, was you just have to add more filters to make things better. And by adding filters, sometimes it gets more costly. So a lot of places don't want to do that. They just want to do the IPA filter and the age filter. So, you get a full room, but half the people don't have any money, which leads to less appointments because you're really basing your appointment setting ratio on half. So it's not that they don't like you, it's just that they don't have anything to come talk to you about. So what we do is a layered approach on our lists. We do use the IPA filter because it is good, and at least half of it is. But you have to mix in other filters. We use about 7, sometimes even 10 filters to really fine tune who these things go to. So we're not wasting money on invites. We're not wasting money on food. May get a lower response than other places, but in this business, it's really not about the quantity; it's about the quality. Your time is very valuable, and you don't want to be wasting it on people you're not going to be able to do business with.
Perfect. So, going all the way back to the old days of direct marketing with Gary Halbert, Dan Kennedy, and company, they would always say it's the list, stupid. Just like, it's the economy, stupid. Well, in direct marketing, direct mail, it's the list. And so let's talk through a little bit further on without, necessarily revealing all of your trade secrets here. What are some of the ways that you make the lists better than what the traditional just IPA? And let me just explain what he means by inferred data is it's taking data that data companies aggregate through 1,000 different means, which anybody can self-report this stuff. And so if they go fill out a credit card and they say I make $250,000 or I have $500,000 in my retirement account, nobody's verifying that. It's just self-reported data that shows up on somebody's list that they sell to a data company and is resold to you as an income producing asset prospect. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep. So they might not have, $10 in the bank account, but they try to get a loan somewhere for 250. Put that on there, and that's taken, and that's what is mailed out using that filter by itself. So on top of that, if you want me to go into the different filters we use, I'll give you some of the basic ones that are just automatic on our list. Obviously, you have age, you have IPA, we do income, we do home value, whether they give charitable donations per year. There's a couple other that I don't ever tell anybody. That's the secret sauce that really makes this thing work. But just by doing those alone, again, you're ripping out the 50% that shouldn't be on the list. And income, you play with it because if you're let's say, insurance only producer, obviously, we're going, 59, 60 to 75-year-olds. If you're assets under management and you're going lower, 50, 54 years old, that has to be played with because not everybody that's in retirement is making as much, obviously, as they did when they were working. And these are all the things we take into account. It's not a one size fits all. Even every state is different. We look at the home values, the median prices, to see what would be the best home value to start at, as well.
Yeah. So refining the list is step number one in creating and probably the most important step in creating an effective campaign. The next couple of things we've discovered are part of what makes people want to come to these things and show up is the actual offer that you're doing. And so we've done a myriad of different things. We've done workshop classes at community college. We've done big event movie premieres at, the Cinemarks and Regals across the country. We've done dinner and a movie in restaurants. We've done Roth conversion workshops. And so what we've found is the two that I promised in the email to reveal that are working the very best right now, and we can pretty well count on them to perform at a high level, is the Roth conversions and the dinner and a movies. And so the beauty of the Roth conversion workshops is that it's generating a very high quality and high intent prospect. And so nobody's trying to get a Roth conversion if they don't have an IRA that they're thinking about trying to actually figure out how to use this for their retirement. And so just built into the mechanics of the message is a high intent prospect with assets. And so what that translates to is higher response, higher show up rates, higher booked appointments, and higher actually closed deals. Dustin Settle came on our call just last week and said that he has $4 million worth of business he's rolling here in December, all from his Roth conversion workshops that he's done over the past couple of weeks. That's $4 million in annuity premium that he's helping people move into Roths that he is going to be able to do a partial conversion year over year. And we have the whole kind of process to help them do that so that you mitigate some of the tax consequences of moving all that money in 1 year and helping people to see this is the ultimate. Like if you're looking for the perfect retirement vehicle, if there was such a thing, it would be an income producing, guaranteed increasing annuity inside of a Roth. You cannot beat that anywhere in the world. Why? Because it addresses all of the 7 dangers of decumulation from market losses, inflation, taxation. You've got the longevity problems, and on it goes, healthcare risk, and you solve these problems for people. And literally, it is the very best solution that exists in the world for helping people retire. And so, Donnie, as you've started putting together these events for us, why don't you talk about some of the events that you've seen? Kind of what's the difference between a mailer that pulls and one that doesn't? Because a lot of people are like, I'm sick and tired of doing dinner seminars. I'm just going to do workshops in community colleges. And the reality is, I mean, we understand because nobody wants to pay for dinner, but you end up with spending about the same amount of money one way or the other, and you got one that pulls a whole lot better than the other.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're not, what I tell everybody, if you're hell bent on not feeding people, regardless of what I've said about how we do the list differently, you're really just going to have to reinvest that food money into more mail pieces because that's what it's going to take to get them there. You're competing with people who are, you're the advisor down the street. You're competing with that gentleman who's feeding someone at 6:30, opposed to, you giving a free class. It's always been that way with the educational versus the dinner workshops. But as far as what pulls the best, so we have customers all over the country doing the typical holistic retirement planning, geared towards annuities and geared towards AUM. But there's not a whole lot of difference. These people are all getting the same and really standing out. When I heard this idea when they initially came to me, because I've been doing this for so long, obviously it's different. With I believe it's Retirement Everest. That's a movie. It's very engaging. I feel like it just tees them up for you, and that's why it has such a high appointment setting ratio and closing ratio, because a lot of the work I feel like is done during the presentation for you, because it's a movie. It's just different. It's not going to see a presenter for 45 minutes go through the typical old PowerPoint that we all have been doing for the last 30 years. And then, of course, the Roth topic, nobody's talking about that. I see a lot of mail pieces come through our group, and nobody's doing it. Like I said, it is kind of the same old, typical guaranteed income for life bullet points, how the economy, the volatile market, things like that. Those are the same topics that have just been going on forever and ever. I really think this all sets itself apart from that.
Yeah, so if you guys who are on here have not seen Retirement Everest yet, you can chat in and we can get you a way to watch that for free. But it's very unique in the marketplace. I mean, we've spawned a million copycats from the time we've been in this business, and every time we come up with a good idea, every FMO out there copies us, and that's going on now. But what they don't understand is that it's more than just the movie itself. It's the mechanism to actually put on the show, put people in the seats, monetize them, set appointments, and then close the deals. And so we have all of that already streamlined for this. And the reason why we went this direction is because we could get the direct mail to pull. So what we suffered through with everybody else in this industry when Facebook changed their algorithm rules was that we could not target good people. We couldn't get the right people to show up at these events. We'd get, 32-year-olds with their 3 kids showing up for a dinner or a movie about retirement. It's like, what are you doing here? And they don't even know why they're there other than it's a free movie and they got some popcorn and soda. And it's like, we cannot have that happening. And so we had to re-engineer the way to target these people, and direct mail. If you get the right list and you go through this process we're talking about with the 7 elements, what that I call it list stacking or filter stacking. So you have 7 different filters, ideal prospects. Then you can know that the people that are going to be in your event are the right people. Now, how do you get them to show up? Well, the dinner and a movie concept, it just pulls. And I guess, Donnie, I'm kind of curious how you see the response rates from these events we've been doing. And if you feel like they're average, above average, what have you seen in terms of just flat out response rates to these?
Well, I was kind of taken back because, we did, there was a lot in November, early December, and typically in this industry, doing even seminar events in December has kind of been like, don't do it. Everybody's on vacation. I've seen some of the highest responses from this that I've ever seen during the Januaries and Februaries. It's almost exactly similar, which was I was really taken back by, because again the content is pulling. Now, if I put this up against the typical invite that everybody's sending out some version of, I say we're probably getting about, I would say, maybe 15 to 20 more people than normal.
Wow.
So in the direct mail industry, it used to be, oh, we get a 1%. That was what everybody went for. So obviously with market saturation, that's went down. A lot of places are happy with a 0.5%. I'm not. Every time I do a campaign, I'm putting as much into the invite to get at least a 0.75 to 0.85. Most of these, I would say, and there's bad areas. Obviously, anybody on the call, Arizona, you already know that. But across the country, everywhere else we've been doing it, I don't think we've gotten less than a 0.75% response, because of the messaging. And better yet, the hold rate. Social media, I'm sorry, digital marketing, a high attrition rate. With this, it's about a 90% hold rate of the people that from registering to actually showing up to your event. So they are attending too, which is always, that's what we're here to do. So when I compare them all, this is definitely outperforming the typical dinner workshops for holistic planning.
Yeah, I did not believe you when you told
I
me
know.
what the hold rate was going to be.
Yeah. Nobody ever does when they come from digital marketing. And that's just kind of how digital's always been. Even when the filters were good.
Yeah.
It's 140 people registered. That would not be there. But direct mail, as long as you're making, and I help everybody with the confirmation process. So, they know what to do. They know what to say to keep them coming and stay in front of them. 2-call confirmation call, nothing big. Within 24 hours of the first reservation, and then you can either do the day before the event or the day of the event. Just give them another call.
Yeah, I've been absolutely shocked because my experience was, and we had tested actually quite a few different mailers before we found you, Donnie, and our response rates were terrible. I mean, we're talking 1/3%, and our attendance rates weren't really. I mean, they weren't as bad as digital, but they weren't super good. We were still having people show up who weren't particularly well qualified because we were still using some of those other list filters. And so once we started doing this, the reason why this is like supercharging our agents' results, and you can see like, Dustin, $4 million over the course of 2 events. Steve did 2 last week and 15 events or 15 appointments coming out of that. And every single one of them, $500,000, $750,000, $1 million. We're talking major assets. So ideal prospects for what we're trying to do here. And we've been struggling down in Phoenix with Steve to get him good appointments over the last 3, 4, 5 months until we started using this approach. So the reason why I believe, one of the reasons why I believe that the attrition rate is so bad on digital is because there's the very low commitment level, right? They're just surfing and they input their name or whatever, and they never really have to do anything physically, like dial a phone number, pick up something, or read something, or talk to anybody. And the other thing is that as soon as somebody responds to this, and those of you who have been in the digital world a little bit will understand this, as soon as somebody responds to your ad offering them a attendance at an event, Facebook knows that. They know that Bob Smith in Tampa, Florida just registered for a retirement event. So what's Facebook's business model? It's to get more advertising revenue of everybody who's advertising to that same guy. So what is Bob Smith in Tampa going to start seeing? He's going to start seeing 5 million ads for additional workshops and retirement opportunities because he's now a confirmed responder. And so you're literally in competition with not just every other advisor that's doing an event in that area. You're in competition with Facebook itself for that person's attention. And so I believe that's one of the reasons why their attendance is so low, is because they now start getting bombarded, retargeted, and put into every single algorithm of somebody who's shown a propensity to respond to that kind of an offer. And direct mail, yeah, they're going to get additional mailers. We know that. But we also understand that once they have picked something up, read it, responded, and committed to it, it doesn't mean that they're going to get 20 more mailers in the mail tomorrow, or 300 in the case of digital marketing. Right. I don't know if you found that to be kind of some of the reasons why it seems to work better, Donnie, or what your thoughts are on that.
Well, because when you're on Facebook, you're in front of your computer, you're clicking and you're typing in. It does take a little bit of work. We have 1-800 numbers when the registrant calls in. That takes work. Picking up the phone, looking at the invite, dialing the number, sitting on hold for 30 to 40 seconds until it's answered, and then you have to go through the whole process with the receptionist, giving them your first name, your last name, email address, home address. That's more time consuming than just clicking something on Facebook saying I want to come.
Hmm.
Even if they use the URL code or they use our scan codes, they have to take a picture of it or they have to type that into their phone to register for us. So I know it doesn't seem like much, but it's a whole lot more than just clicking yes, I want to come to this and putting my name in. That's why the hold rate is as high as it is.
Yep, absolutely. So we're getting the right people first of all targeted, then we're getting a higher response rate than normal, and then you're getting 80 to 90% of them to show up. And based on what the content is, the Retirement Everest movie, the Roth conversions, we also have 4 other what we call mini documentaries coming out in 2026. We have one about IRMA, which is, if you're not familiar with IRMA, it's a major hot button. That one's called Social Insecurity. We have one coming out called Winning the Retirement Tax Race, an estate planning one, and also another one on Roth, an actual mini documentary on Roth conversions. And so if you're not the type that wants to get up and talk for an hour, like, you don't need to do that at all. You can talk for 5 minutes, introduce the movie, turn it on, let it play in the restaurant, and then stand up there and do your close and book a bunch of appointments. And relatively repeatable process, because you don't have to be on your game. You don't have to be the star of the show. You certainly can be if that's your personality. But if that's not your nature, then you can let the movies do the selling for you. And honestly, the power of the movies is they have actual real testimonials, real case studies of people that are actually living off this. So that's why people are much more emotional about this, because they're seeing their dreams played out right there in front of them on the big screen and being like, that's what I want. And so it's way more powerful in terms of persuasion than doing it just with a PowerPoint slide. Um, Okay, so let's talk real quick then about how do you deploy one of these? What's the lead time, and what are some of the logistics if somebody wants to do a dinner and a movie event or a Roth conversion event, Donnie?
We just need 35 days notice prior to your first event. Normally, if you're doing a one-night event, Tuesday or Thursday, or you can advertise a 2-night event, Tuesday, Thursday again. Once order form return, we get art back usually same day. As long as everything's filled out properly, our design team will go to your website, pull off any disclosures, bio, headshot, send that over to you for approval. Once that approved, we're pulling your data. We're also discussing your data with you. We don't want to just, like I said, it's not one size fits all. If you're in a certain state, we're going to talk to you about who your ideal client is. If you don't want to go up to 75, you want to go a little bit lower, you want to start at a lower age, we take all that into account, especially, on the asset amount as well. Not everybody wants to start at 500,000. Some people want to do 100,000 starting point for the assets. 250 is what our normal is. And then we talk about home value and the other filters, but we have this land in homes 14 days prior to your first event. There's 5,000 piece, 7,000 piece, 10,000 piece campaigns. They're all priced differently. We usually discuss that with you when we're deciding whether you're doing a 1-night or a 2-night, and also the area and what the track record is of response. We can always use what we've done in the past, but then we know that this is going to get more to a certain point. So we also, finding the capacity of what the restaurant will hold. We help you with that as well. If you're having trouble finding a restaurant with a meeting room, coaching you on different meal costs. So it's a big consulting thing, as well as just, not taking your order and wishing you good luck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our purpose in all of this is to write the business.
Mhm.
It's to build a production machine that we implement for our advisors, and we are invested in it heavily because we're paying for the marketing in most cases. Once our producer comes on board with us, then starts writing business, we will then pay for their events, and so we're literally reducing your costs on putting the events on together because we're paying for the majority of those in many cases, and then we're helping you with a system that actually works. And so well is a two-pronged approach, and I'm going to share with you right now, so everybody, you can take a look at the screen, what our kind of approaches are here. And so you'll see Dustin Settle, he's the one that did the Roth, and now he's got another one scheduled for dinner and a movie right here, and this is his mailer. And he's talking about taxes in this one, and has some bullet points here, has the picture of where he's going to have that meal, and so in this case, this was his mailer for his event that he recently did. And then over here we have Rich Rich Cohen, who is doing it, did it at Maggiano's, and it's what's funny about this is we've tested tons of different mailers. And why don't we talk a little bit about the mailer itself? Because I know you've seen the wedding invitations, you've seen the more formal letters or the fake handwriting and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What is it that you're finding works well about this format?
Yeah, so I mean, in all my years, which is a lot of years of doing this business, most places will tell you if you want a high-end client and a good response, you need to do a wedding style. It's just simply not the case. That could have been 10 years ago, maybe, but it's really not anymore. These mailings, it's all about psychology. Especially around the dinner ones. What am I eating? Where am I eating it? And when am I eating it? And if you have that first panel blocked by an envelope, because I know they do the penman script with the wedding style and they put a fake little stamp, it looks like it was written by grandma. People have caught on to that. They're not even opening those anymore. They just know this is a little Trojan horse to get me to open it. They
Mm,
just throw those in the garbage. But if you have something where they take it out of the mailbox and the first thing they see, and I know you guys don't want to hear it, but it is what it is. They see a picture of food. That's the psychology part. Now, okay, that looks really good. Let me open this up and see what this person's talking about. And then you have your headline, then you have your bullet points, and they get to the back and they learn about you. That is all we do. I haven't done a wedding style invite in, yeah, probably 12 years. And I would say people that come to me from other places that are using wedding style is they kind of are, they're not really sure. They're like, oh, we've been doing this for a long time and this is the response rate. I get them a better response rate just doing the self-mailing bifold, and I'm saving them probably, six or $700 by not putting that envelope on top of it
yeah.
while getting a better response. So it's unnecessary. And just like the restaurants too, everybody thinks they have to do a Ruth Chris or they have to do a Fleming's. Well, that 5 mile radius around Ruth Chris is getting bombarded by the Ruth Chris producers. They are all getting the same invite every single day to invite them to Ruth Chris. They're seeing all the presentations. They're seeing there's not a whole lot of differentiation between each advisor. So it doesn't have to be, $100 plated meal like others would tell you. If you can find a middle of the road steakhouse, mom and pops, even non-franchise places that are well known, where it's $40 to $50 a plate, you'll still get as good or better response than doing it in a saturated area right outside of Ruth Chris or Fleming's.
I think that's got to be music to people's ears because there is this angst and frustration of spending all of this money on expensive meals, and the risk reward threshold goes way up with that. If you're having to spend a bunch of money on direct mail and then doubling that cost by paying $100 a head, then you've got a lot of pressure to make this thing perform. And so a couple of things that work really well with what we're doing is number one, the mailing costs are lower. Number two, we can backfill some of the event attendees if we need to with digital by targeting the lists that received the actual direct mail. So that's part of our secret sauce. And then third, finding restaurants where the cost is a half or a third of what you would spend at the higher end steakhouses. Steve just told me, I don't know if you knew this, Donnie, but his cost per head for his food at his event where he got 14 or 15 appointments with a bunch of really wealthy people in Phoenix, $28 a head.
Yeah. Yeah, he did it at a Mexican restaurant. And that's
Yeah.
that's a that's a no-no in our industry. It's usually you go steak first and American Italian. And the invite did so well, it pulled that many people there. And
Yeah.
it was again, that's what we're talking about is that was not an expensive place and it got that many people and that many appointments. I have people that have used me and they still just live and die by Ruth Chris that would die for that kind of response. And he's in Arizona, which is the worst market to mail to.
Hmm.
So it was just everything aligned perfectly, and then you test that to again the mail piece and the topics we're discussing.
Yeah. Awesome. So a couple of big takeaways. Number one, you don't have to be and you shouldn't be doing the more expensive steakhouses. Find something that's not, I mean, we've tested it all. Like we have, when you said you haven't mailed a wedding style invitation for 12 years, we have. We literally used one of those not too long ago to test and it bombed. It did not perform well at all. And so it was just like, okay, that's more evidence that you know what you're talking about, and this really works. And so far, so good. So it's just been a scenario where instead of fighting it, instead of trying to reinvent the world, the wheel here, it's just go with what works. All we're really after is a offer that's good enough to get the right people in the event. And then at that point, the advisor has the ability to get to know them, meet them, schedule appointments, and do their magic. And so there's more to pulling these events off successfully. This isn't really a training about the events. I wanted to focus more on the mail process and why that's been so effective for us. But I think the other piece of this, which is really important for any of you that are trying to have a game plan to build your business in 2026, is what does it look like to create a plan where you can consistently write 1 million a month or 2 million a month? I know most people in this industry are not at those levels. A lot of them are at 3, 5, 7 million. They're not doing 1 million a month, or they're not doing 1.5 to 2 million. They're certainly not doing 4 million off of a 2 event, campaign. And so what is it that looks like? Well, it's having different messages that are both compelling, but they're not going to get ad fatigue in the marketplace. And so that's why we have 5 different messages that we rotate through: the dinner and a movie with Retirement Everest, the Roth conversions, the license to spend, the estate planning will pull a high quality of person. She ended up filling 2 nights and coming out of there, I think, with somewhere around 18 appointments through watching, having them watch Retirement Everest and doing that she did it at an oyster bar or something like that, I believe. So,
Yeah, I don't think she paid more than, $25 per plate.
really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So if you're looking for a game plan, it's 2 events a month. You can do 2 campaigns, and each event ought to produce at least 500,000 in business. And so there's a very simple way in 2026, just plugging into what we're doing right now, to go ahead and have a game plan to write 10 to 12 million. And if you're not doing that right now, then what do you have to lose by testing this and seeing if it will work to add to whatever it is that you're doing right now? And so if you're interested in talking to us about it, you can go to moviemarketing.net and book a time to talk to our team, and we'll answer your questions and fill that out. I'll put that in the chat here. Let's see, what would the 2 events a month cost? You're probably, so for the mail, if you're doing 5,000 piece mailings, unconverted leads than there are in the converted leads in the first 30, 60 days, because those other folks, you build a list and it all goes into your software account here that we create, and we drip on them and follow up with them to keep those leads warm and coming back. They may go to your next event. They may fill out a calculator and then request an appointment with you. They may watch one of the clips of the movie and then request an appointment with you. And so all of that is built in through our follow-up sequences to monetize these leads at the maximum possible. And then there's a myriad of other things we do with the social media and authority websites and other things that we help our advisors with. One of which in 26 is we'll actually put you in the film as a star of the movie, winning the retirement race. And we're going down to the Baja 500. We're going to be filming the race there, and then integrating the story of how do you win the retirement race and make it really fun and cool, and making annuities cool. And so we'll be filming people out on their deep sea fishing boats. We'll be filming people. We've already got some of these case studies already obtained that we're going to be filming down at a Tiger Woods course in Mexico, and filming deep sea fishing off the coast of Florida. And these are people that are living the dream life because they have annuity income. And so these are opportunities that will continue to put you into if you decide you want to do business with us. So anything else, Donnie, that you would say about questions that people typically have that you talk to, or reasons why people kind of drag their feet on this?
Are getting them they're using the marketing credits, and why is because they're producing. They're
Mm-hmm.
producing off these events. They don't have to pay for seminars anymore, and it's very quickly. So I would say probably 80% of the orders we get from this are just people that have already done these seminars, and they're just using the marketing credits. So that's a great thing. When you don't have to pay for marketing, nobody likes paying for marketing. It's expensive. So when you get a break like that, it's pretty cool to see. So I don't have anything else about why anyone would want to drag their feet. It takes a little bit of trust. I know a lot of agents on this call have been with other direct mail vendors, and they've been hurt. And that's just why we do things the way we do differently. Most of my time I have to play therapist to advisors that have been by this stuff before. But when you take that leap of faith, you do an event, you see the quality, you write the business. Not everything is bad.
Yeah, not everything's bad. Yeah, we've been through a lot of bad ones, and then you find a good one, and you're like, okay, let's back up the truck, and we're gonna
Yeah.
knock this out of the park. And so, a lot of our advisors now have two events scheduled every month for the next, 6 to 8 months because they're gunning to write 10 million, 15 million, 20 million this year. Okay, so if you're interested, go to moviemarketing.net. You can book an appointment there. We'll talk to you, and then once you've decided, hey, you want to move forward, Donnie will actually meet with you one on one. You'll go through the strategy and decide exactly, you get all your questions answered, etc. And we'll just go, we'll get you on the schedule and start knocking it out. We're gunning for over 100 events in January, and from there, it's just going to keep growing and growing because this is working and it's different and it's compelling. You get the assets that we're creating for you, so that you don't have to do all the heavy lifting on your own and convince people this is what they want to do. They see it, that's what they decide they want to do, and in many cases, they're just like, okay, I know what I need to do. Let's meet. And you're not having to convince them that buying an annuity is a good idea. They've already seen that it's a good idea and they want it from the films that we've created. So with that, I think we'll wrap up. Go ahead and check out moviemarketing.net, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
See ya.